Aston Villa added another trophy to the trophy cabinet, winning the Trofea Ceramica, securing the 2-0 victory against Villarreal. Ollie, Watkins and Buendia on target. Let's get into it. This is your instant match reaction.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with another match reaction after the 3-1 defeat to Marseille in what was a interesting game, shall we say, extremely bad-tempered, and as I said on the reaction show yesterday, descended into a bit of a farce. It got crazy views on the channel, almost 4,000 views, lots of Marseille fans getting in there, massively celebrating beating Aston Villa in a friendly. But we beat Villarreal 2-0 today in a much more calm, friendly atmosphere, but also a very competitive game. And it threw up some other issues, but it also threw up some potential positives that we'll get into in this episode. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We are marching on to 6,000 subscribers. Very, very close now, literally just over 100 away. So you can help us get there. Like, subscribe, help grow the channel, and comment below your thoughts on the pre-season game against Villarreal, your general thoughts on pre-season as a whole, and how you think we're set up for going into the new season, which kicks off next weekend. Now, for this game, Aston Villa started with a different team to yesterday's game against Marseille. Emi Martinez in goal. I can't deal with these lineups, but we had Tristan Rowe at right back, Ian Matson at left back, Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa at centre back. Then in the midfield was Yuri Tielemans and Boubacar Kamara. In front of them was Jimo Aloba and Emi Buendia, and then Leon Bailey operated off the right-hand side and Ollie Watkins up front. And to be honest, Villa started off pretty well, passing the ball around quite well. But also, you could see Villarreal were quite well drilled and were very, very quick at catching us on the break in what they call the transition, which essentially is when players give the ball away. And it was evident to see that a lot of our attacking midfield players were making poor decisions on the ball, and it wasn't specific to anyone. It was Leon Bailey at times. It was Emi Buendia at times. It was Jimo Aloba at times. It was even Yuri Tielemans at times when he broke forward. And we just seemed a little bit sloppy in those positions. And the worst thing is when a player dallies on the ball or chooses the wrong option or the ball gets intercepted, we seem to be quite vulnerable on that changeover, on that transition, when teams really go at us, and they seem to be able to cut through us on 2 or 3 passes and they're straight in. And potentially it's sometimes because there's players who aren't familiar with each other. There was times when Tristan Rowe got caught out 1 or 2 times, or the positioning, the distances in positioning between Konsa and Rowe wasn't quite right, or Matson was caught forward. But that is one of the concerns that I have, as it seems to be still quite easy for teams to cut through us within 1, 2, 3 passes. And if it wasn't for Emi Martinez, which is essentially what he's there to do, to save efforts, it could have been 2-0 to Villarreal quite easily. And their striker missed a couple of absolute sitters. But yeah, Martinez made a couple of cracking saves and some poor finishing from their striker. We did take the lead though, and it was from a moment of actually making the right decision. This time, Emi Buendia got some space in and around the edge of the box, and rather than trying to play the intricate pass or hold onto the ball for a little bit too long, he actually took the shot, hit the shot on target. The keeper parried it out. Lovely touch from Ollie Watkins to bring it down, and then a great strike with his right foot into the bottom corner, and it's 1-0 to Aston Villa. And to be honest, we didn't really deserve it, but we'll definitely take it. And then we seemed to settle down into the game from there. Jimo Aloba started to get on the ball a little bit more, and Yuri Tielemans started to get on the ball a bit more, Buendia even, and Leon Bailey to a certain extent as well. And it was Yuri Tielemans that had a lovely effort towards the back end of the first half. Ball goes down the left-hand side from Jimo Aloba. He plays in Emi Buendia, who does really well down that left-hand side. He manages to ride a couple of challenges, cuts the ball right back. I don't know if it was specifically aimed at Tielemans, but he was running onto it, hit the shot really low down into the bottom corner. It was going towards, but the keeper managed to get down to save it. And then right towards the end of the first half, Leon Bailey cut in on his left foot, couldn't quite get the bend on it, could have took a deflection, but in the end goes to the goalkeeper. But you could see the signs of Villa starting to get into the game, starting to get used to how to play with each other with this particular lineup. And then the second half starts, and we start the game on the front foot, really, really well controlling the game. And probably the moment of the game, really, in terms of the goal, Emi Buendia gets the ball just outside the box in lots of space, gives the goalkeeper the eyes and whips a shot into the goalkeeper's bottom right-hand corner. The goalkeeper thinks it's going to the left, and Villa are 2-0 up, and then sort of comfortably see out the game. One or two chances for Villarreal where they hit the ball over the top. Substitutions are made, and a nice little cameo from Evan Gesson, who came on the left-hand side initially, had a great run down that left-hand side, cut the ball right across the face of goal. Just no one manages to get on it, but he goes out for a corner, but that is a sign of things to come. And I think he did it again, but it just got blocked at the near post. And then he went out onto the right-hand side. So it shows his versatility once a number of substitutes were made. But yeah, the game sort of, fizzled out as a spectacle, but it was good to get some minutes in the legs of the players. Now, the positives, let's talk about the positives first and some of the positive performances. Ollie Watkins is absolutely on fire in pre-season. 5 goals now in pre-season. Different goals as well. This one was in the box. A nice snapshot finish. He's scored 3 goals with his head. He scored 1 from a first-time finish from a cross from Rodgers. So he's looking fit, fresh, firing. As I say, he's pulling off the line as well to get involved in the game, to get involved in the play. He's running the channels as well quite well. He's obviously not putting everything into the games, but certainly he's got his eye in for goal, which is really, really positive going into the season. We've seen some of the young players do really well. I think Jimo Aloba really did grow into the game today. I thought he started off a little bit sort of chasing shadows, a bit needed to get into the game. But I thought he was excellent in the second half, and a couple of really nice moves from him. One, again, down that left-hand side where he turned the man inside out and then managed to have a shot, but it just got blocked out for a corner. So he's been positive. Hemmings, we talked about in the last game. I thought Tristan Rowe got into the game quite well today, so he was a positive. But I guess the main one, and I've criticised him quite a lot, is Emi Buendia, and has he now put himself into the shop window for the first team, for the actual starting 11? I'd be interested to know what people's thoughts are in the comments. Has he put himself ahead of, say, a Jacob Ramsey? Is there a slight doubt about Morgan Rodgers' fitness? So could you see Emi Buendia getting into the first team for the game against Newcastle, or at least on the bench, at least in the first team squad? I noticed something from Jacob Tanswell on X saying that he was initially one of the players that, alongside Leander Dendoncker and one or two others, that Emery was really actively looking to move on. But because he's taken some of the things on board in the friendlies, because he's come back really fit and fresh, he's actually forced himself into the reckoning for the first team squad. So I'll be interested to know what you guys in the comments think about it, because for me, I still think there's so much there that frustrates me about him. He gets into so many good spaces. He takes such a good first touch many, many times, but then he holds onto the ball for that little bit too long, or tries that pass that's too intricate or too difficult, where there's another pass or another player who's probably in a better position that's an easier pass for him to make. But then he will make a pass through the eye of a needle, or he'll do something really quickly and put a player through, or he'll score a goal, much like he did against Roma, direct free kick. We hardly ever score them. Or the goal today, lovely finish where he gives the goalkeeper the eye. So has he got something that he can bring to the team that we don't usually have, that we don't have? Could he maybe come on for 15, 20 minutes and give us that impact, give us something slightly different in the game, or give us some tenacity or something that we might need in terms of a spark? So he's probably the major positive from tonight's game that has come out of it. And I guess there's a lot of Villa fans that are maybe thinking about Emi Buendia and how he can maybe fit into the first team squad. Or do you think, you know what, if a bid comes in or if something happens within this window, you'd still be looking at letting him go? I'll be interested to see what you think in the comments. But Youri Tielemans, again, very solid. Boubacar Kamara, nice and solid as well. So that's an issue for Emery, a nice issue to have, you know, because Onana's looked good in preseason as well. So who out of those three operates in that midfield? Is it Tielemans, Kamara? Is it Tielemans and Onana? Is it Kamara and Onana? It's got to be Tielemans in there. So is it between Kamara and Amadou Onana in that position? What about John McGinn, the captain? Does he play in that more advanced role, and who plays next to him? Is Morgan Rogers going to be fit? Is it Jacob Ramsey? Is it Emi Buendia? So there's some really nice problems that Unai Emery's got in there. Now, I guess for me, the concerns are still the centre-back position, the centre-back partnerships. It looks like Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa are the number one partnership, but is there enough leadership there? Is there enough communication there? I still felt we were a bit too easy to play against and easy to get through. And we gave away a couple, like 2 or 3 massive gilt-edged chances that aren't going to be missed next week or the week after that or the week after that when it comes to the Premier League. So I'm concerned a little bit about the leadership, about the discipline if we play those two at the back. But then if we play Tyrone Mings, he's liable for a mistake, but he gives you those leadership qualities. He gives you that presence in the box. So I don't know what we do with the centre-back partnership. I'd still want another centre-back in, but it's difficult because do you go big and go for a first-choice centre-back, or do you go for a backup? In which case, if you go for a backup, they're still liable to make mistakes. So the centre-back issue for me is still there. The playing out from the back, I don't think it was as bad today. I thought there was more options, and it's clear to see when Kamara and Tielemans are there, most of the time they're offering themselves. It's a better balance with those two. They've got more in terms of they can lay it back first time, they can drop their shoulder and turn, they can play a little pass around the corner. So there's more options there. But it does worry me at times where we're not quite ready to play the ball long into the channels. We could do it. We can do it, especially if Daniel Marlin's playing, especially if Gesson's playing, who looks really pacey and powerful as well. So we can do it. We don't have to just consistently play it out from the back. And as I said before, just that it's key that the attacking midfielders make the right decision, keep possession, or at least err on the side of caution at times when they're playing that through ball or when they're playing that pass. Look and make sure that you're making the right decision, that it's not going to put us into trouble on that transition when teams intercept us, because there was times today when Villarreal, within 2 passes, they were on the edge of our box and they had a couple of, as I said, really, really big chances that if Emi Martinez hadn't been in goal, we would have conceded. So those are probably the main concerns for me. But it's been a really good, I think, pre-season. And I would imagine that Unai Emery and the coaching staff will be much more positive about this pre-season than they were about last year's pre-season. Because if you remember, so many players coming back at different times. There was players that they were looking to move on that they couldn't move on, like Diego Carlos. And we're trying to sign players at different times as well and bringing them in to integrate with the squad. Whereas if you look at this one, he's had the vast majority of the players for each game throughout the preseason. He's known exactly when certain players were coming back and how they were coming back and in what condition and how many minutes to give them in certain games. And it seems to have been a gradual build-up of quality, of standard, and of different environments and different scenarios for each game. So for me, I think if I was Unai Emery and if I was preparing the squad, I'd probably give it a good 8 or 9 out of 10. He'd maybe have wanted one more player in or something like that, but I know they've got to sort of watch it with PSR and the squad cost rules. But and maybe he'd have wanted to get off the books one or two of the fringe players. But I think all in all, I think he'd be really happy with the preseason and how it's gone. And I think the emergence of George Hemmings in the main has been a real positive, because whether he goes out on loan, whether he sticks around the first team, there's a real talent there. And then that inspires the likes of Tristan Rowe, the likes of Gmo Aloba to want to continue and want to push themselves into that first team reckoning. So a real positive for me in general. I know I was fairly negative at the start of it and kind of concerned about different noises around players leaving and players staying and lack of players coming in. But I think on the whole, Villa have kept quiet. They've kept organised. They've kept it within house. And I will be very positive going into next week against Newcastle in a real good frame of mind. However, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we've got to put everything that we've done into pre-season into practice on that pitch next week and into the first few games of the season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Before we go, please do. I haven't really promoted this as much. I will be doing it all week this week, but sign up to our FPL Villa Park Podcast FPL League. That's the code. Use the code below when you click into the link. Let's get as many people into it as we can. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We are on the march to 6,000 subscribers. We'll be back with Fans Forum, which is our season prediction special. And we've got plenty more shows coming up for you this week. So stay tuned for the channel. Thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.